Xi Jinping, a biography, written by Zhong Wen. Chapter 14 Reddening Hong Kong. According to the original Sino-British agreement, Hong Kong should have democratically elected the chief executive in 2015, but Xi Jinping has wished to control the chief executive who must listen to him. So he has not allowed the public to nominate the chief executive candidate directly, but it has been through a nominating committee composed of 1,200 people under his control. This is obviously the birdcage democracy of the Chinese Communist Party. It is in fact not a real democratic election. Xi Jinping is afraid of losing control of Hong Kong and is even more afraid that democracy in Hong Kong will affect the demand of the mainland people for democracy. Hong Kong must survive under his tyranny and one country, two systems has been declared null and void. Hong Kong has long been under British rule and has a tradition of freedom of speech and publication. When she came to power in 2013, some books, critical of Xi Jinping, such as Xi Jinping Changes Everything in China, Xi Jinping, The Grand Plan and the Calculation, The Xi Era, China in Danger Again, and The Empire of the Red Sun, etc. were published in Hong Kong. In 2015, a book publisher in Hong Kong prepared to publish the book Xi Jinping and His Lovers, exposing his scandalous inappropriate relationships with women. Before 2015, Hong Kong bookstores had been selling books on Mao and his women, as well as books on Jiang Zemin scandals, and the CCP had not interfered, but when it came to Xi Jinping, he wanted to make himself look like the pure emperor, not allowing books on his scandals to be published, and actually wielded a sword and sent police across the border to illegally kidnap the publisher and capture him for trial and persecution inside the mainland. In October 2015, Chinese communist agents were sent to Thailand to kidnap Hong Kong publisher Gui Minhai, a Swedish citizen who was taken back to China for interrogation. Two other employees of Mighty Current Media Company Limited, Louis Bo and Zhang Jiping, and the owner of the Causeway Bay bookstore in Hong Kong, Lin Rongji, were also kidnapped in October 2015 and taken back to the mainland for trial. In late December 2015, Paul Lee, the largest shareholder of Hong Kong's Mighty Current Media Company Limited, was kidnapped by 9 men on Hong Kong's Chai Wan Road and pushed into a 7-passenger car to be driven to the mainland for trial. Paul Lee is a British citizen. In order to cover up the illegal crimes of the CCP has made the rumor that Paul Lee and the others were caught sneaking into Shenzhen to visit prostitutes. Lin Rongji, a bookstore owner who was taken to the mainland for trial, was imprisoned in June 2016 but escaped to address a press conference to reveal that he was transferred blindfolded from Shenzhen to Ningbo, Zhejiang province, where he was held for 5 months, tortured 20 to 30 times, forced to confess guilt on television, and forced to sign a waiver to find a lawyer and contact his family. He was persecuted by the task force and he tried to commit suicide several times. On June 16, 2016, at 6:45 p.m., Lin Rongji escaped from the control of 2 special case officers and contacted Hong Kong MP Albert Ho to assist him for a press conference to explain the truth of his abduction. On October 24, 2015, he was kidnapped by 11 people, pushed into a 7-person car, his documents were confiscated and he was interrogated about his personal information at a police station in Shenzhen. He was made to sit in a prisoner's chair all night and was not allowed to sleep. All precautions were taken to prevent him from suicide. During his 5 months in Ningbo Detention Center, Lin Rongji was guarded 24 hours a day by 6 groups of special investigators and was arraigned 20 to 30 times. Always 2 arraignments were outside asking him to identify the client who had purchased the book. He was forced to make a confession video under the arrangement of a director with lines. The confession video was aired on Phoenix in February 2016. In April 2016, Lin Rongji was transferred from Ningbo to Shaoguan, Guangdong, where he was placed under library surveillance and had no freedom of movement. During his stay in Shaoguan, he was taken to Kirin Villa in Shenzhen to have tea with Li Bo, Louis Bo and Zhang Jiping, who were under imprisonment, and was monitored and videotaped. During his stay in Shenzhen at 1 a.m. one night, he was seduced by 2 girls who were assigned to tap on his door and solicit him for sex. He was then charged with prostitution. In June 2016, Lin Rongji was notified in Shaoguan that he was allowed to return to Hong Kong to visit his family on the condition that he must take out the data of the Causeway Bay bookstore's mainland customers' book orders and to bring them back to the mainland. At 7 a.m. on June 14, he returned to Hong Kong via Shenzhen by a high-speed train in Shaoguan accompanied and monitored by the 2 task force agents. He first asked the Hong Kong police to cancel the case as arranged by the task force. During the 2 days in Hong Kong, the 2 task force agents were afraid to be photographed when walking with him and so they started to walk on separate roads. Lin Rongji used the cell phone provided to him by the task force to report his whereabouts by SMS all the time to keep him under surveillance. On June 15, Lin Rongji went to Li Bo's office to retrieve the data of his bookmaking client records as requested but found that the hardware he obtained was not a bookmaking record, and delayed until late at night to inform the special investigators that he had mistakenly retrieved data. In the afternoon, he decided to escape from the surveillance of the special agents and contacted Hong Kong legislator Albert Ho to hold an emergency press conference to reveal the truth about his abduction. Lin Rongji's courageous revelation of his persecution by the CCP during his abduction and interrogation has provoked public outrage at home and abroad. The United States, Europe and other countries have condemned Xi Jinping for using the mafia to persecute people in the publishing industry. Gui Minhai, who was kidnapped from Thailand to Ningbo by Chinese public security agents, was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment on February 24, 2020 by a Ningbo court for illegally providing information abroad, after 4 to 5 years of detention. The whereabouts of Li Bo, Louis Bo and Zhang Zhiping are still unknown till date. Lin Rongji was the only abductee who escaped from communist surveillance and returned to Hong Kong where he was unable to survive normally anymore. He was forced to leave Hong Kong for Taiwan in 2019. Fortunately, the Taiwanese welcomed him and he reopened his bookstore in Taipei in 2020, still under the same name of Causeway Bay Bookstore. A few days before the opening, he was dining at an outdoor seat in a coffee shop near the bookstore when 3 black-clad men who were following him rushed at him and threw red paint on his head, upper body and hands, causing damage to his skin and clothing and backpack. In April 2021, a Taipei court sentenced the 3 black-clad men to 8 months, 7 months, and 6 months imprisonment respectively with a compensation of 300,000 Taiwan dollars to him. Taiwan has been infiltrated by the Chinese Communist Party's United Front for many years and there is a small group of pro-communist unificationists within the country who follow the baton of the CCP. In early 2017 when Huang Jifeng, Secretary of the Hong Kong House of Representatives, arrived in Taiwan for a visit, he was also protested by more than 200 members of the pro-communist United Front Group, Patriotic Heart Association, at the Taiwan airport. When Huang arrived at the departure hall, several men in black suddenly rushed forward and attempted to beat him with their fists but he was quickly protected by police officers and he left without being injured. In September 2019, Hong Kong's singer Denise Ho Wan-si arrived in Taipei to participate in a pro-democracy protest in Taiwan and was sprayed with paint by Hu Guangwei, a member of the pro-communist party for the promotion of Chinese unity. In late September 2019, the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office placed Hu Guangwei under arrest for public insult and defacement, with 200,000 bail. In March 2019, Xi Jinping's government ordered Hong Kong to sacrifice the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance, so CCP didn't have to use triad tactics like they did in 2015 to arrest people for imprisonment in the mainland but could be explicitly arrested and sent back to the mainland for trial under the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance Amendment Bill, which aroused strong opposition among the Hong Kong public. From March 15, the Hong Kong people staged a sit-in in front of the government headquarters to demand the withdrawal of the amendments to the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance. The Civil Human Rights Front launched 2 demonstrations between March and April. To June 9, a large-scale demonstration broke out, a large number of people participated and 1 million Hong Kong people took to the streets. Climax came again on June 12 and 16 when there was another large-scale demonstration having 5 demands including asking Carrie Lam Ching Yu Tinger to resign and step down, etc. The 5 demands were: 1. Withdraw the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance Amendment, 2. Withdraw the demonstration, riot, characterization, 3. withdraw the arrested charges. 4. Independent investigation to investigate the abuse of violence by the police force, and 5. Realization of genuine dual universal suffrage. On July 1, some protesters occupied the Legislative Council building. Almost every week protesters launched protests and clashes, though the police were intensified. In August, protesters paralyzed the Hong Kong International Airport twice. In October, fierce demonstrations erupted in Hong Kong, causing even more clashes, and in November, the three strikes further escalated, with fierce clashes between the police and the public at the two universities of CUHK and PolyU, in which the police used batons, pepper spray, tear gas, water hoses, rubber bullets, and cloth bags. The clashes resulted in at least 15 deaths, including 4 suicidal protesting youths. Over 2,600 protesters and 600 police officers were injured. There were 10,000 arrests and over 2,500 underwent prosecutions. The protest movement went on for almost a year without a unified leadership, mainly through social media contacts and calls for organizations, with demonstrations, rallies, sit-ins, singing, shouting, 3 strikes, non-cooperation movement, road blocking, setting up the Lenin Wall, undercover, and other ways to express their purposes. Most of the participants were peaceful, with the youngest 11 years old and the oldest 84 years old. On November 24, 2019, during Hong Kong District Council elections, 1.8 million voters voted for the Democratic camp. The Democrats won 389 out of the 450 district council seats. The pro-communist, pro-establishment, collapsed and were defeated. The liaison office of the CCP failed to control the election. Hong Kong people thus have rewritten the history, with the votes indicating that the CCP has lost the hearts of the people. In 2019, Hong Kong experienced an unprecedented demonstration movement of 1 million people. The protesters raised the banner of "Restoration of Hong Kong, Revolution of the Times," shouted, "God destroy the CCP, death to the whole family of the Communist Party, no national day, only national mourning," and posted conscience stickers and cartoons of Xi Jinping. There were rallies and demonstrations in 50 cities in 9 countries, including the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, Northern Europe, Japan, South America, Taiwan, etc. On October 1, 2109, 1 million people participated in the rally. On November 18, 2019, U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo issued a commentary on Hong Kong to condemn the Chinese Communist Party's suppression of democratic freedom. On November 19 and 20, 2019, the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives passed the Hong Kong Bill of Rights and Democracy to support the Hong Kong democracy movement and condemned the Chinese Communist Party's suppression and persecution. On May 27, 2020, the Secretary of State Pompeo issued a statement confirming that Hong Kong no longer had a high degree of autonomy and that Hong Kong may no longer enjoy special preferential treatment from the United States. The anti-China, pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong has made the world see the true face of the CCP and has revealed Xi Jinping's intention to accelerate the defamation of Hong Kong and eliminate the democratic forces in Hong Kong, which is bound to intensify the contradictions between the CCP and the free world and intensify the global anti-communist struggle. In 2019, Hong Kong's anti-China movement gave Taiwan a great stimulus. Hong Kong today, Taiwan tomorrow, a great blow to the unificationists, affecting Taiwan's 2020 elections. Tsai Ing-wen picked up Hong Kong's gun and fired violently at the mainland. The situation in Hong Kong has inspired the Taiwanese people to be more wary of the CCP than ever before. Tsai Ing-wen is pro-US and anti-communist, and her campaign has gained momentum. Xi Jinping helped Tsai Ing-wen, who won the election with high votes. Xi Jinping's attempt to take over Taiwan is increasingly becoming a sham. In July 2020, Xi Jinping put all his efforts into suppressing the anti-China movement. In July 2020 he introduced the National Security Law, directly manipulating Hong Kong with the legislation of the Chinese Communist Party-controlled National People's Congress, forcing Hong Kong to implement his draconian law and giving the police more power to bugging, searching, banning from leaving the country and freezing assets at will. This will speed up the defamation of Hong Kong as a seaport under the control of the CCP, not different from mainland cities, but Hong Kong is inextricably linked to the rest of the world, with many foreign companies, media and civil society organizations. On December 2, 2020, a Hong Kong court sentenced popular protest leaders Huang Zhihua, Zhou Ting, and Lin Rongyan to 7 to 13 months in prison, and in April 2021, arrested Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Lai Chiying and 7 others. Many pro-democracy activists were forced to flee and a ship carrying more than 10 fugitives left Hong Kong for Taiwan and was intercepted by police. Xi Jinping's attack on freedom and democracy will not stop. Xi's army even calls for the expulsion of 7.5 million Hong Kong people and 8 million immigrants from the mainland, further exposing the true face of the CCP's barbarism and making the world aware of the viciousness and brutality of communism, which will inevitably provoke countries to besiege the CCP and speed up the end of Xi Jinping. Hong Kong is a bridgehead against the tyranny of the Chinese Communist Party, a beacon of democracy, and as the Pearl of the Orient, Hong Kong will continue to shine brightly.